Welcome to downtown Halabadoo. Last known resting place of the Tusk of Ganesh.
I don't like it.
You don't like anything.
Uncharted The Lost Legacy is a new adventure in the Uncharted universe, following plunderer of exotic items Chloe Fraser as she ventures deep into the mountains of India. While the temple clambering series has taken us across the world, across generations, and even across platforms, The Lost Legacy will stray even further into unknown territory. That's because it will be the first Uncharted adventure not to star Nathan Drake, the wisecracking, perfectly stubbled protagonist who started us all on this crazy ride.
Well, this looks inviting.
So, should fans be concerned about an Uncharted game without Nate? Outside Xtra is here to say no, and then to give several reasons why. Replacing Nate as chief robber of priceless artifacts is Chloe Fraser, who fans will recognise as the fiery supporting character first introduced in Uncharted 2, and who has a complicated but intense relationship with Nate.
Oh, is that an ancient Tibetan ritual dagger in your pocket?
Oh, maybe I'm just happy to see you. Yeah, hello.
Honestly, you two, what are you like? Like Nate, Chloe's a born adventurer, with a bucket load of knowledge of lost civilizations, impossibly powerful arms, and a willingness to mix archaeology with what can only be described as cold-blooded murder. Unlike Mr. Drake, however, Chloe's got more of a mercenary streak, and while she's come good in the past, is characterised as being more comfortable with self-interested choices than old Natey.
He's never gonna make it. We have to leave him. What? No!
Get the door open, Chloe!
Gonna get us all killed!
Moreover, in the relatively little time we've spent with Chloe in the series so far, she's shown bucket loads of personality and real depth, which we reckon makes her a really solid choice as protagonist for a new adventure.
Whoa. Guess I should have looked for a call button before climbing up.
And while Chloe is bound to soften up a bit as The Lost Legacy progresses, it's going to be fun to see an Uncharted adventure through the eyes of a character with more of a ruthless streak than Nate, who, let's not forget, was no choir boy. Come on, Nate, think about the next person who has to use that.
Any luck?
I don't need luck.
I'd say we can use all the luck we can get.
Remember how in Uncharted 4 Nate's brother Sam turned up out of the blue and turned the game into a kind of buddy cop adventure? And remember how it worked really well, mostly because Sam's renegade traits conflicted nicely with Nate's new role as a stay-at-home peaceful salvage worker?
Easy on the civilians, Sam.
Developers Naughty Dog are clearly gunning for the same thing in The Lost Legacy, where Chloe will be accompanied by Nadine Ross, former head of the paramilitary organisation Shoreline, which made so much trouble for the Drake Bros in Uncharted 4.
When am I finally going to meet that partner of yours? Drake?
Well, that's ex-partner.
Unlike Chloe, Nadine is the epitome of calm and caution, more about getting the job done than swashbuckling her way into a near-death situation.
Don't recognise this. It's not one of the three symbols.
We should stay focused.
Ever say no to a chance to make some extra cash?
Having played through a chunk of the game, it's clear that Chloe and Nadine are going to have that same entertaining friction as the Nate brothers had, even as they work towards a common goal.
You take left, I take right.
Remember.
What the? That works too.
From what we've seen, both characters have aspects of their past they're initially unwilling to discuss.
How'd you get tangled up with the Sav anyway? Purpose?
Rather not go into it.
But we're willing to bet the constant threat of death by huge ancient mechanism brings them closer together over the course of the game, in an unfolding friendship that will push Nate and Sam right out of your mind. Sorry, Drakes.
What the hell is this?
We'll find out soon enough. Okay, let's see what this does.
Any concerns that whisking Nate away would make this game feel less like Uncharted are allayed the moment you pick up the controller and shimmy your way up a wall, and that's because the feeling of playing The Lost Legacy is basically identical to that of Uncharted 4. To anyone who played the last game, wrapping your mitts around the PS4 controller will feel like slipping into a pair of well-worn favourite shoes, from the vertical climbing, which as usual involves trying to spot the one discoloured brick in a centuries-old facade, to the welcome return of the physics-confounding grappling hook and the climbing piton.
They've left their climbing gear.
They should come in handy.
Correction. Our climbing gear.
The biggest change, if you can call it that, appears to be that The Lost Legacy will lean more heavily on open world areas than previous games, but even this is lifted directly from Uncharted 4's 4x4 sections, including the use of the winch to tear down bits of historic buildings that really should be preserved for future generations. Oh no, it's ruined.
Let's get inside.
It's not just the nuts and bolts mechanical stuff that feels familiar, it's the environments too, which are as lush and lovingly rendered as anything the series has ever produced. And that's saying something. Who needs beloved series mainstay Nathan Drake when you've got god rays like these, eh?
The Great Battle.
What?
The battle in which Ganesh lost his tusk. I bet we find these symbols. We find the tusk.
Spoiler alert here for the end of Uncharted 4, but it ends with Nate happy, comfortably retired from the darker side of treasure purloining, and most importantly, not crushed to death in the middle of a jungle. Bearing in mind how he's lived his life, that's a pretty remarkable feat, so it would be a shame to risk it all by sending Nate out on another romp into the deadly unknown, especially one set after the end of Uncharted 4. All things considered, it's neater and indeed braver to leave Nate's story as happily concluded, and resist the temptation to wheel him out for one more go. Better to have him ride permanently off into the sunset on a high, just like the adventurer who inspired him, Indiana Jones, definitely did in 1989, and nobody will convince us otherwise. While we're satisfied already that we won't spend the whole game pining for Nate and his fluffy little quiff, it remains to be seen whether The Lost Legacy can deliver the same volume of thrills as a full-blooded Uncharted installment, not least because, as an expansion to the story that was initially conceived as DLC, it seems likely to be considerably shorter. If it works though, and if it's a hit, The Lost Legacy could be the starting point for a whole new generation of full-length Uncharted games, perhaps continuing Chloe's story or Nadine's, or starring someone we've not met yet. Although it's never been tested, we reckon the core of an Uncharted game isn't Nathan Drake in particular, but the sense of high adventure his games conveyed. Naughty Dog has already said it highly doubts the Uncharted world is done with, and if The Lost Legacy does prove to be the point of origin for a long line of new stories, it's likely we'll look back on it as much more than a simple spin-off, even if no future character could ever pull off a scarf with quite so much panache.
Perfect.
So those are some of the reasons we reckon Uncharted The Lost Legacy will manage just fine without Nathan Drake. Will you miss Nate, or are you more excited to see what Chloe and Nadine get up to? Let us know, and hey, if you enjoyed this, there's a lot more like it for you to watch right now, so why not subscribe or check out some of our other videos. Happy adventuring, folks!
That's supposed to happen?
Dunno.